part of the world you're in. We're located in the Philippines, so it is evening our time. I know USA based time. It is in the morning. So tonight we're going to be talking about what is transformation and how a mentor changed my life, my leadership, and my family. Because I'm going to be talking about this because I get a lot of people ask me, who's this MJ Lopez guy? What's SB Lead? What Success Blueprint? They ask, because a lot of times I literally got one yesterday or today. Kind of confused on the time because I'm always up. But Eddie Claros, he told me, he's like, man, how are you managing to fit wife, kids, family, work, and everything else in the rest of your day, along with all your other ventures? And that I'm a great inspiration and influencer. And I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to talk about what changed, who was I before, and who I am now. So we'll go over that. If you have any questions, just ask them. You can ask them about SEO marketing or just the transformation in general. I'm going to be sharing this live in some groups. If this is your first time watching, my name is William. I have over 20 years of SEO or search engine optimization experience. And I usually talk about SEO marketing and business mindset. So that's, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you're not, make sure to share this on your wall and tell others about us, because we're here just to help business owners like yourself. You may even think, what's transformation have anything to do with business, William? Trust me, it has everything to do with it. So let me go ahead and share this in some groups, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Almost done, guys. I'm just sharing in some very important groups. Almost done, guys. This is a topic that's very close to my heart because it is. I've been radical. If you've watched me from a few years back, you'll understand I've went through in my opinion, a very radical transformation. And anyone that knows me will tell you the same thing. All right, we are done. So, and I mean, maybe you haven't seen it yet. And I'm going to show you this too. If you're on Facebook, which many of you are, go over to my profile and you'll see and read my story. Right? If you read my story, you'll know about all the breakthroughs, all the ups and downs I've went through, all the very dark places I went through, and all the transformation I went through. I went through a lot, to say the least. Okay? When I say a lot, I just mean you got to understand I'm in my best shape now at 49 than I was in my 20s. Okay? I am now 115 kilos and I was 159 kilos. I was almost 400 pounds and now I'm like 250. Besides that, obviously, love working out, love doing everything I do. But we're going to talk about it. Who was I? Where was I at? You know, most people, when we talk about transformation, a lot of people talk about it. It was MJ Lopez, my mentor. He is in the inner circle of Tony Robbins or Anthony Robbins. Everybody knows him from Unleash the Power Within and his conferences that he does. Most people think transformation is about one thing only. They usually think it's about making more money, growing a business maybe, or losing weight. But transformation is not about changing what you have. True transformation is about changing who you become. Changing who you become. It's not about, it's sometimes when MJ mentions, for example, what do you want? You know, who do you need to become and why? What is your why? Your why is the really big one that most people miss out on. And it's the most important one, in my opinion. Good morning, Harry. Glad you could catch it. Good morning, Lisa. Just say good morning to all you guys. Yeah, my topic is transformation. MJ, appreciate you. I got your voice note, and I'll listen to it in a minute. Yeah, success is about becoming. So transformation is about not changing what you have, but who you need to become. Most people focus on the goal, and then they wonder why the goal seems unattainable and it keeps running away from them. It's because they're too focused on the goal, and everything is transactional for them. What they're doing, when they do it, how they do it, everything is transactional. Meaning they probably wouldn't even be doing what they're doing to quote unquote transform themselves if it wasn't for the goal. Right? The goal or the thing is not even the thing. In Buddhism, we talk about it as like it doesn't exist. Remember in the Matrix where it says the spoon doesn't exist. I see the goal, and then once I see the goal, I put my head down and I get to work. It's about changing who you become. You know, and what I want to do is I want to share how having my mentor, MJ Lopez, completely and radically changed my life, my leadership, my business, and most importantly, my family. So who was I before SB Lead 01 and meeting MJ? So before meeting MJ, I'd actually went through a lot of hurt, pain, betrayal. I don't really care to get into a lot of that anymore because those are old stories. However, I was carrying a lot of things most people couldn't even see. I didn't even think my own family or kids saw it, but come to find out after the transformation, my own daughter, Rowena, she told me, she said, the family was falling apart. You got to understand, I used to stay in my room. My wife stayed in her room. The kids stayed in their room. The grandma stayed in her room. No one really was around each other. Yes, we had a team of 80 something. They were downstairs. And then a lot of times, because I was in a house of a lot of people, how many of you have ever been in a house or in an environment with a lot of people, but yet you still feel alone? Well, that was me. And so a lot of times what I used to do, I'd travel from Surrey Gal to Manila to go play poker to get away from everyone and everything, because it was the one place I found comfort and did not feel alone. And it's the weirdest thing. I'm alone in my condo. I'm alone. I don't have family, friends, and all that around me, but I didn't feel alone. Before SB Lead and MJ, I was carrying a lot of things. I was carrying fear, self-doubt. I had checked out of life, of the family, of leadership. Why? Because of past failures, because of betrayals, frustrations, and limiting beliefs. From the outside, most people saw us and saw our agency and was like, they're doing an amazing job. They're functioning. They're a huge agency. Man, I would love to have that agency. I would love to have the lifestyle and stuff that William has and all the big team and everything else and the big agency. But inside of me, there were battles that I hadn't won and were killing me. There were moments I was ready to step away, and I had already stepped out of leadership. I checked out, not just in the business, but also in the family. I was not being the leader. I was not guiding my family. We were like a ship just tossed to and fro on the water. I questioned if I was even the right person to lead. Does my wife even want me to lead? My family, my team, everybody. So you got to understand, I went through a lot of stuff. And I remember at the time, I was thinking, hey, I'm either going to move to Dubai or back home to the States or, check out. And I remember my wife, she sent me on our little phone and said, hey, you need to watch this guy. And I didn't want to hear from another Filipino. I had already been through enough pain. Yeah, see him, I was ready to give up everything. Because I'd been through so much, I didn't want to even hear from another Filipino. And she sent it to me on my messenger, and I just ignored it. I was like, I'm not listening to this guy. What's he going to tell me that, he's another scammer. He's another person who's going to hurt me. He's just some Filipino. I don't want to hear from him. So I remember coming in the living room. She was in the living room, and she sitting on one side. I'm sitting on another side. And because, like I said, we really didn't. We were loving, but it was, it was like us. That was it. And she turned on the TV, turning on YouTube, and she put this man by the name of MJ Lopez on it. I don't understand Tagalog. I still to this day don't understand all of Tagalog. However, I could look in his eyes and I could tell he was legit. I could tell he had been through some real hurts, pains, betrayals, and everything on his own as well. And I could tell he wasn't some typical coach talking about a bunch of BS out of his butthole. He knew what he was talking about. He also reminded me a lot. When I heard him, I was like, sounds a lot like Tony Robbins. And I was like, why? And then I started diving in more and found out, he's in Tony Robbins' inner circle. He's invested a lot in Tony Robbins. I had actually considered doing the same. So I know how much he's invested because I was considering doing so as well, becoming a coach at the time, even though I needed to be coached, even though I needed transformation. And from there, I moved to Manila, and I came to Manila for some poker tournaments. But I said, I'll go over to this thing called Power Talks just to hear them. And I came the first time, then I came the second time, and then I got addicted to it. And obviously, I never left. Prior to that, you got to understand, I'd also met MJ. MJ came and spoke at one of my conferences called Digital Impact, and I met him there. And then prior to that, I got in Success Blueprint, and I had came to his Resort Sylvia at the time. And from there, we got into his community. And I didn't go through Success Blueprint immediately, to be honest with you. I just finished it this year. I would advise you don't wait like I did, because it radically changed my life. Um, then I was obviously going to Power Talks, and then I started going to his masterminds and everything else. And I literally stopped playing poker, stopped gambling. He and it wasn't like he told me, "Hey, I just don't play poker, and you shouldn't do it." He just told me, he said, "I just don't play. I don't gamble because it's a waste of time." So he told me. He didn't tell me to stop or anything like that. He didn't browbeat me. Same thing when he met me and I was 150 something kilos. He didn't tell me, "Hey, you're fat. You need to lose weight." He just told me, he said, "Next time that we speak on stage, I'm going to see you up on stage. I believe you're going to have a black pinstripe suit that you want to wear, and you'll have lost a little bit of weight." He didn't say that I was going to go through a radical transformation, but having someone being around him that believed in me outside of my wife, really, I mean, I don't know what the man did. I don't know if it was a magic touch or something, but all I know is from that day forward, I started losing weight, and it was almost effortless. And it was like something clicked in my mindset. And I see, like, now when I go work at the gym, I've lost weight before. And when I lost weight before, it was like I still saw fat William. Even if I was down to basically what I am now, and I had lost all that weight, but I was still fat. I was still old looking. Um, and even asking my wife or anybody, "You looked older, William. You didn't have as much muscle and stuff like that." And I still saw fat William. But this time, it's like I look younger. I look, hoagie, or, I just, my whole self image has changed in what I see. Yeah, he was. We put up the event in Surreygal. See, that was that was the second time I met MJ. First time was at the Sylvia Resort. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to answer. I'm just talking about my story. But from the outside, everybody thought I was functioning. Everything was going good. Me and my wife were loving, but most people did not see all the battles we were going through in the relationship, as well as the business, and the stress that everything was causing to us. All right. So now, transformation is not information. There's a difference between, teaching and education. There's the difference between education and learning. Transformation is not information. You can read books, you can watch videos, you can attend seminars, and still remain the same person. And that's what happened with me. I have probably 1,000 books you can see on my bookshelf at the office. I don't even touch any of those books anymore, because, as you can tell behind me, I got up top, if I lifted it up, you could see MJ's packages up there, in which those are Success Blueprint. Now, I stopped reading because for me, it's like I don't really need to read, because I have a mentor that I can ask certain things. You know, um, I don't have to go read a book to get an answer anymore, because I got a mentor. And that's where things really change for me. It's like most people, I tell you all the time, it's like, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, the mentor will appear. Well, most people are not ready for a mentor. And what I mean by that is because most people, if a mentor says, "Hey, do this," they want to say why. They're not ready to follow. They're not ready to obey commands. So they're not ready for mentorship. They're not ready for transformation. And that's why they stay the way they stay. Transformation happens when your identity changes. The only way your identity is going to change is if you recognize your patterns, you break the patterns, you create patterns. And that's what Success Blueprint and having a mentor has done for me. When the person who's operating from fear starts operating on purpose and intentional, when the person who is normally shrinking from greatness starts leading, and when the person who felt stuck, which was me, starts to make an impact on the people he's around and his environment, that is what transformation is. transformation is not about money. It's not about the things. It's not about watches and cars and all that. Sure, all of that will come. However, you can be doing the right thing towards a goal and things still look like you're losing. Things still look like you're not transformation. Good evening, Kenji. I remember one exercise during SV Lead 01 in which MJ asked me, for example, who wants to lead. For some people, that may sound simple, but for me, it wasn't. You got to understand, I wasn't leading my family. I wasn't leading my team. I had checked out because I didn't feel, to be honest, like anyone wanted me to lead. And I didn't want to lead either because I'd failed so many times. And I'm like, dude, if I do this, I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail everybody. In that moment, when he asked me about who wants to lead, every failure, every betrayal, every setback came rushing back through my head. And this is what he talks about. He's like, you have a desire. We talked about this at Power Talk, or at Success Blueprint Mastermind this past Friday. You have a desire. Yes, I have a desire to lead, but then it goes to your head. And then you start overthinking it and thinking, should I do this? Should I not do this, etc. And then from there, it goes into your heart. It goes into your heart. So it doesn't just stop in your mind. It give me 1 second here. It doesn't just stop in your mind. It actually goes into, it winds up going into, if you will, your heart. And your heart is a big one. And for me, it wasn't just I'm overthinking. It's also in my heart. I'm thinking about that. You know, and after it goes into your heart, it then goes into your actions. And your actions could be, well, I'm not going to lead, or I'm not going to be the man of the house. I'm not going to be the good father. I'm going to check out. And that's what I had essentially done. I had checked out. So in that moment, I felt every one of my failures, all the betrayals, all the stuff I went through, I felt like I was exposed. But what I saw in MJ, I can't really talk about it because it's an SB lead and we have, if you will, non-disclosure. So I can't get into all of it, but I can tell you a little bit about it. It's one of the most radical things. For me, it was. I remember my now friend John Martinez, he saw me in the back walking back and forth. I said, yes, because I'm thinking, you know, am I ready to lead? Am I the man to lead? Because if I do it this time and I fail, we all fail. But what I saw when I was looking at MJ wasn't judgment. It was anger, but it was like holy anger or holy indignation. I saw someone refusing to allow me to stay small. I remember MJ told me, he said when he saw me, you know, he told me about losing weight and he's telling me about wearing the black pinstripe suit and speaking, you got to understand, he saw me as in my full potential, not where I'm at, not my past mistakes. And in that moment, I made a decision. Not because I felt ready, but because I was no longer willing to stay small and stay where I was. That moment changed something inside of me. And yes, I led the team. Yes, we led them all to success. And we all graduated SV Lead. Now, from there, I also recognized, well, my wife does want me to lead because of one section in that area where I also chose to lead as well. That mentorship changed my family. The greatest gift of mentorship and having MJ as our mentor wasn't just about business growth. It wasn't strategy. It wasn't money even. It wasn't, it was becoming a better husband, a better father, a better leader, and a better man. MJ is someone that I can look up to as the complete package and say, because some people, how you look at me like they're a good father, but they're not really a good leader. They're not really a good man. They may be a good businessman, but they're not a good father or a good husband, vice versa. But MJ is the complete package. When a man transforms, and when I transform, the entire family transformed as a result as well. The team is beginning to transform. My family experiences a different version of me today, meaning I'm more present, I'm more intentional, I'm more confident, I'm more focused, I'm more capable of leading. I remember, for example, my son, daughter, they wouldn't come up to me and my wife and talk. My mom, they referred to me as sir, not as dad. And now it's dad. I love you, dad. And coming up and talking to me, and we go out and we do things together. So things, when I came here for mentorship, I came here to save myself. I was coming to save myself because I was hurt and I was wounded. And then that became, oh shit, I, radically changed my family, radically changed the team and the business. And then, of course, we actually became platinum partners as well, and developed a friendship over time as well. But mentorship and transformation, why I would tell you that SB Lead 01 and having a mentor and going through Success Blueprint and being in MJ's community matters, is a mentor sees things in you that you cannot see in yourself. It's not always the good, sometimes it's the bad. He sees in you your full potential. Yes, your mentor, whether he or she sees the full potential, but they can also identify patterns, things that you do that are fucking your world up. They also challenge your excuses. I had someone the other day ask me, he said, well, what do you do when you feel like giving up? I told him, I talked to two people, God or MJ. God I'll cry to, and MJ will stick his foot up my ass. Because sometimes, I would say most of the time, we don't need someone to coddle us. We don't need someone to say, you poor thing. Of course you don't need to go to the gym. Of course you don't need to show up. You're sick. No, we need someone that tells us you're a leader. This is what you're choosing. And if you want abundance, abundance lies in the crosshairs between leadership and happiness. Being happy with being a leader and being responsible. That's where abundance lies. And that's what my mentor taught me. They challenge your excuses. They help you break patterns. You recognize them, they break them, and create them. They help you become the person that they know that you're capable of. They help you create, not manage, but create the future you want. Most of us are managing our world, and God created us to be creators. I personally believe that every successful person has had someone who challenged them to grow. I don't see, it's either been they've had a painful life or they've had a mentor. That's my feeling. It's like, I wish I had found MJ, my mentor, when I was, in my 20s. He wouldn't have been around by then, but I just wish I'd met him when I was younger. I remember when I first saw him, I was like, how are all these young kids like see him and different people around him? He's like Tony Robbins. They don't know what they got. I still to this day feel like most people don't know what they have. I still think, I still kind of think it's like they just, they don't know what they got. And they just they're just, they take advantage of it. And it's the main reason why most people don't know what they got is they're just doing their own thing. You know, they don't know what they got, and therefore they take advantage of it. They don't appreciate it. So what I would challenge you to do is, if you're feeling stuck right now, ask yourself, what if the problem isn't in your circumstances? What if the problem is that you've outgrown or your current version of yourself? The biggest investment I ever made wasn't into a business. It was becoming the person I was capable of leading, capable of becoming, and that's what transformation is. The mentor helps you become the person that you're capable of being. So SB Lead 01 and having a mentor didn't just teach me how to lead others, it taught me how to lead myself. And you need to learn to lead yourself. Why? So you can change your world, your family, your business, your future, and create the life you want. That is the power of transformation. That is the power of mentorship. That's why I'm forever grateful to MJ Lopez. If you want to see where you can find out more about MJ, is going to be at mjlopez.ph. If you're interested in SB Lead 02, it is open for enrollment. If you want more information, just reach out to me and I will gladly send you the information over. It is going to be in July, towards the end of July. So I hope you learned something from this stream. I appreciate you. And if you have any questions regarding transformation or SB Lead or MJ or having a mentor or even SEO, just reach out to me. We're here to help you. And I appreciate you. And I'm so thankful that you watched. Remember, my name is William Jones, and greatness is forged with